Want to speak real Afrikaans from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at afrikaanspod101.com.
Hallo, ek is Anne-Marie. Aangename kennis. Hi, I'm Anne-Marie. Nice to meet you. In this series, we're going to learn basic Afrikaans expressions. It's super easy and it only takes 3 minutes. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to introduce yourself in Afrikaans. We'll start speaking right away, but first it's important to clarify that in Afrikaans, there are different greetings depending on the situation. Let's first see how Afrikaners introduce themselves in a casual situation. Hallo, ek is Anne-Marie. Aangename kennis. Hi, I'm Anne-Marie. Nice to meet you. Hallo, ek is Anne-Marie. Aangename kennis. Start by saying, Hallo, ek is, then say your name. For example, Hallo, ek is Anne-Marie. Finally, say aangename kennis. Again, all together, it is Hallo, ek is Anne-Marie. Aangename kennis. Now, let's see that same sentence in a more formal context. Goeiedag, ek is Anne-Marie Luck. Aangename kennis. Good day, I am Anne-Marie Luck. Pleasure to meet you. Goeiedag, ek is Anne-Marie Luck. Aangename kennis. Let's try that again. G. Try pronouncing it from the back of your throat. Goeiedag, goeiedag, ek is Anne-Marie Luck. Aangename kennis. So, what has actually changed from the previous introduction? Let's take a closer look at these expressions together. Hallo has been substituted with the formal greeting goeiedag, which is Afrikaans for good day. Ek is Anne-Marie has not been changed. Ek is simply means I am. However, during a formal self-introduction, we also say our last name. So I said Anne-Marie Luck. Here, you would say your full name. One more time. The informal way to introduce yourself in Afrikaans is Hallo, ek is Anne-Marie. Aangename kennis. The more formal way to introduce yourself is Goeiedag, ek is Anne-Marie Luck. Aangename kennis. In the previous lesson, you learned how to introduce yourself in Afrikaans. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to thank people. Remember, good manners are important. Are you ready? Let's start. Saying thank you in Afrikaans is very easy. It's just one word, dankie. Dankie. To say thank you very much, you just need to add baie, meaning a lot, at the beginning. Baie dankie. Baie dankie. What if someone says dankie to you? How do you answer? It's easy. Here is the most common response. Dit is 'n plesier. Dit is 'n plesier. Dit is 'n plesier can be used with just about anybody. Literally, this phrase means happily done or I did it with pleasure. So when someone says dankie to you, you can simply reply with Dit is 'n plesier. Now it's time for Anne-Marie's tips. If you're not sure about whether to use dankie or baie dankie, keeping it simple is always your safest bet. Just say dankie. You don't have to worry about saying the long version. The difference between the two depends only on how grateful you are or how much someone has helped you. In the last lesson, you learned how to thank people by saying dankie. In this lesson, you'll learn some of the most common greetings used when speaking Afrikaans. Is jy reg? Are you ready? Let's start. The most commonly used informal greeting is hallo. Hallo. Hallo means hi or hello. We can use this greeting with friends or relatives. Hallo. The most used formal greetings changes depending on the time of day. Let's see what they are. First we have goeiedag. Literally, goeiedag means good day. Goeiedag. As a rule of thumb, we can use goeiedag only during the daytime from late morning until early evening. Next is the greeting we say only for the morning. Goeiemôre. Goeiemôre. For the afternoon, we say goeiemiddag. Goeiemiddag. During the evening, we say goeienaand. Goeienaand. Goed is Afrikaans for good. Môre, middag, and aand means morning, afternoon, and evening, respectively. Easy, right? Now, what should you say when you leave? Afrikaners usually say tot ziens when leaving in a formal situation. Tot ziens. Tot ziens means goodbye. When we say goodbye to friends or relatives, we use the informal lekker dag. Lekker dag. You can also say bye. Bye. Now you can greet people in many different ways in Afrikaans. Let's review them all again. First, the greetings. Informally, we simply say hallo. If you want to be a bit more formal, you can use goeiedag during the daytime, goeiemôre in the morning, goeiemiddag in the afternoon, and goeienaand in the evening. When leaving in a formal situation, we say tot ziens, and in an informal situation, it's lekker dag or bye. It's easy, isn't it? Now it's time for Anne-Marie's tips. In informal situations, Afrikaners, especially good friends, commonly greet each other by giving each other a quick hug. If you're unsure, you can just stick out your hand and give a firm handshake and a smile. A smile goes a long way. In the previous lesson, you learned the most common forms of greetings in Afrikaans. Do you remember them? In this lesson, you're going to learn a very useful phrase, do you speak English? If you find yourself in a situation where you need assistance in English, this phrase can be a lifesaver. And because you're asking it in Afrikaans, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you're saying, even if their answer is no. Here's the informal way to say it. Praat jy Engels? Praat jy Engels? Here, praat is the verb to speak, jy is the informal way of saying you, and as you might have recognized, Engels means English. Praat jy Engels? Do you speak English? Now let's make this sentence formal, as you'd probably be asking a stranger this question. It's very easy though, so don't worry. You only need to use the formal version of you, which is u. So, praat jy Engels becomes praat u Engels. Praat u Engels? Adding skus toch, meaning excuse me, to the beginning makes the sentence even more polite. Skus toch, praat u Engels? Skus toch, praat u Engels? Can you say it? Skus toch. Make the g sound using the back of your throat. G. Skus toch. Skus toch. Praat u Engels? Now, the responses you will receive could be one of these three. Ja, yes. Ja. A bietjie, a little. A bietjie. Nee, ek praat nie Engels nie. No, I don't speak English. Nee, ek praat nie Engels nie. Because this last response is a negative statement, you can find the word nie used twice as Afrikaans uses a double negative pattern when saying negative sentences. Ek praat nie Engels nie. Now it's time for Anne-Marie's tips. For those of you who are not only English speakers, you can use this question with any language you need. South African people study other languages at school, so maybe you'll get lucky. Just substitute Engels with Italiaans for Italian, Duits for German, Spaans for Spanish, Franse for French, and so on. In the last lesson, you learned the phrase praat u Engels, which means do you speak English? We also mentioned the word skus toch, which means excuse me. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to use this expression and other phrases as well when apologizing in Afrikaans. We use skus toch in formal situations, such as when we are ordering something in bars or restaurants. For example, skus toch een koffie asseblief? Excuse me, a coffee please? We can also use it when asking a question. Skus toch, waar is die uitgang? Excuse me, where is the exit? Here are some other words you can use for saying excuse me. Excuse. You can use this to get somebody's attention in a formal situation. Excuse. In informal situations, the way to say excuse me is just sorry. Sorry. All three words, skus toch, excuse, and sorry, can be used when trying to get someone's attention or when apologizing. However, you might want to use a different phrase to apologize if you really want to sound sincere. That phrase is ek is jammer. It means I am sorry and can be used in both formal and informal situations. Ek is jammer. First we have ek is, which means I am. Then we say the Afrikaans word for sorry, jammer. Ek is jammer. Now it's time for Anne-Marie's tips. There's one big reason that you should know how to say I'm sorry in Afrikaans. South Africans love the fact that someone is making an effort by trying to communicate in Afrikaans. But if you apologize in Afrikaans, they will say, dit is okay, which means it's okay.
'n Man gee verslag van sy maatskappy se verkoopprestasie op 'n vergadering. Watter 2 grafieke gebruik hy vir die aanbieding?
Kyk asseblief na die volgstuk. Die grafiek links toon die maatskappy se verkope oor die laaste 3 jaar en die verkopevoorspelling vir die huidige jaar. Die grafiek aan die regterkant wys die maandelikse uiteensetting in verkope tot Oktober van hierdie jaar. Kyk nou asseblief na die linker grafiek. Dit wys dat verkope steeds toeneem die laaste 3 jaar. En as ons verkope aanhou verhoog, sal die totale verkope die jaar 'n verhoging wys in vergelyking met die verkope van die vorige jaar. Volgende. Kyk asseblief na die grafiek aan die regterkant. Die regter grafiek wys dat die veldtogte wat ons in April en in Augustus gehou het, redelik effektief was.
Ek sien, maar die verkope het afgeneem in Mei en September na die veldtogte.
Ja, maar die tipe stuiting is onvermydelik. Ek verwag dat die totaalverkope vir die jaar 'n verhoging sal wys in vergelyking met die verkope van vorige jaar.
Watter 2 grafieke gebruik hy vir die aanbieding? ‘n Man gee verslag van sy maatskappy se verkoopprestasie op 'n vergadering. Watter 2 grafieke gebruik hy vir die aanbieding?
Kyk asseblief na die volgstuk. Die grafiek links toon die maatskappy se verkope oor die laaste 3 jaar en die verkopevoorspelling vir die huidige jaar. Die grafiek aan die regterkant wys die maandelikse uiteensetting in verkope tot Oktober van hierdie jaar. Kyk nou asseblief na die linker grafiek. Dit wys dat verkope steeds toeneem die laaste 3 jaar. En as ons verkope aanhou verhoog, sal die totale verkope die jaar 'n verhoging wys in vergelyking met die verkope van die vorige jaar. Volgende. Kyk asseblief na die grafiek aan die regterkant. Die regter grafiek wys dat die veldtogte wat ons in April en in Augustus gehou het, redelik effektief was.
Ek sien, maar die verkope het afgeneem in Mei en September na die veldtogte.
Ja, maar die tipe stuiting is onvermydelik. Ek verwag dat die totaalverkope vir die jaar 'n verhoging sal wys in vergelyking met die verkope van vorige jaar.
'n Man sluit aan by 'n sportklub en kry inligting oor die beleid. Watter tipe lidmaatskap sal hy kies? Laat ek begin deur ons klub se verskillende lidmaatskapopsies, soos beskryf in hierdie brosjure te verduidelik. Gewone lede kan die gimnasium en die swembad enige dag van die week gebruik. Ons bied ook vroegoggend lidmaatskap, waar mense ons fasiliteite net vroeg in die oggend kan gebruik, en aandlidmaatskap vir mense wat net in die aand wil kom.
Wat is die ure vir vroegoggendlede?
Vroegoggendlede kan die fasiliteite gebruik van 6uur tot 10uur in die oggend, en aandlede kan die fasiliteite gebruik van 6uur tot 11uur in die aand.
Ek sien. So vroegoggendlede kan die fasiliteite gebruik op pad werk toe.
Presies. Die vroegoggendtipe is populêr onder mense met 9 tot 5 werke. Ons bied ook lidmaatskappe net vir die gimnasium of net vir die swembad, as jy net een van die wil gebruik.
Ek wil graag die gimnasium en die swembad gebruik. Ek dink ek sal die gimnasium gebruik vroeg in die oggend voordat ek werk toe gaan op weekdae en die swembad gebruik op naweke. Het u 'n lidmaatskap vir vroegoggend weekdae, maar vol dae op naweke?
Jammer meneer, maar ons het nie so 'n tipe lidmaatskap nie.
OK. Ek dink nie ek kan in die naweek so vroeg opstaan nie, so ek sal die lidmaatskap opsie kies.
Watter tipe lidmaatskap sal hy kies? Een man sluit aan by 'n sportklub en kry inligting oor die beleid. Watter tipe lidmaatskap sal hy kies? Laat ek begin deur ons klub se verskillende lidmaatskap opsies, soos beskryf in hierdie brosjure te verduidelik. Gewone lede kan die gimnasium en die swembad enige dag van die week gebruik. Ons bied ook vroegoggend lidmaatskap, waar mense ons fasiliteite net vroeg in die oggend kan gebruik, en aandlidmaatskap vir mense wat net in die aand wil kom.
Wat is die ure vir vroegoggendlede?
Vroegoggendlede kan die fasiliteite gebruik van 6:00 tot 10:00 in die oggend, en aandlede kan die fasiliteite gebruik van 6:00 tot 11:00 in die aand.
Ek sien. So vroegoggendlede kan die fasiliteite gebruik op pad werk toe.
Presies. Die vroegoggendtipe is populêr onder mense met 9 tot 5 werke. Ons bied ook lidmaatskappe net vir die gimnasium of net vir die swembad, as jy net een van die wil gebruik.
Ek wil graag die gimnasium en die swembad gebruik. Ek dink ek sal die gimnasium gebruik vroeg in die oggend voordat ek werk toe gaan op weekdae en die swembad gebruik op naweke. Het u 'n lidmaatskap vir vroegoggend weekdae, maar vol dae op naweke?
Jammer meneer, maar ons het nie so 'n tipe lidmaatskap nie.
OK. Ek dink nie ek kan in die naweek so vroeg opstaan nie, so ek sal die lidmaatskap opsie kies.
'n Vrou praat met 'n man wat vir 'n uitgekontrakteerde drukwerkmaatskappy werk oor 'n brosjure vir 'n nuwe produk. Wanneer is die sperdatum vir die eerste ontwerpkonsep vir die brosjure? Ons het besluit om die nuwe produk 15 Oktober van stapel te stuur, en ons wil u graag vra om die brosjure te maak.
Baie dankie. Ons is beslis opgewonde om te help met hierdie projek. Kan u ons 'n bietjie meer vertel oor die skedule? Wanneer het u alles nodig?
Wel, met inagneming van die tyd wat ons nodig het vir die druk, wil ons graag die brosjures hê teen die einde van September. Sou dit vir u moontlik wees om ons eerste ontwerp teen middel Augustus te gee?
Wel, ons wil graag 3 ontwerpopsies gee vir die aanvanklike konsep. En dan kies u die beste vir u konsep. Dan maak ons die finale ontwerp gebaseer op u keuse. So dit sal baie nuttig wees as u 2 meer weke gee om voor te berei op die stadium.
OK. Miskien sal 'n maand genoeg wees om een van die onderwerpe wat u gemaak het te kies en om te besluit op die uiteindelike onderwerp. OK, ons gaan op u reken.
U is in goeie hande. Ons ontwerpspan is die beste. Baie dankie.
Wanneer is die sperdatum vir die eerste ontwerpkonsep vir die brosjure? ‘n Vrou praat met 'n man wat vir 'n uitgekontrakteerde drukwerkmaatskappy werk oor 'n brosjure vir 'n nuwe produk. Wanneer is die sperdatum vir die eerste ontwerpkonsep vir die brosjure? Ons het besluit om die nuwe produk 15 Oktober van stapel te stuur, en ons wil u graag vra om die brosjure te maak.
Baie dankie. Ons is beslis opgewonde om te help met hierdie projek. Kan u ons 'n bietjie meer vertel oor die skedule? Wanneer het u alles nodig?
Wel, met inagneming van die tyd wat ons nodig het vir die druk, wil ons graag die brosjures hê teen die einde van September. Sou dit vir u moontlik wees om ons eerste ontwerp teen middel Augustus te gee?
Wel, ons wil graag 3 ontwerpopsies gee vir die aanvanklike konsep. En dan kies u die beste vir u konsep. Dan maak ons die finale ontwerp gebaseer op u keuse. So dit sal baie nuttig wees as u 2 meer weke gee om voor te berei op die stadium.
OK. Miskien sal 'n maand genoeg wees om een van die onderwerpe wat u gemaak het te kies en om te besluit op die uiteindelike onderwerp. OK, ons gaan op u reken.
U is in goeie hande. Ons ontwerpspan is die beste. Baie dankie.
'n Vrou bel op die telefoon om kaartjies te reserveer vir 'n opvoering. Watter 2 sitplekke het sy gereserveer?
Hallo? Dit is Blackfriars Playhouse. Kan ek je help?
Ek wil graag 2 kaartjies reserveer vir King Lear om 5:30 vanaand. Is daar nog enige sitplekke beskikbaar?
Ons het nog 'n paar sitplekke beskikbaar, maar ongelukkig geen langs mekaar nie. As jy nie omgee nie, kan ons 2 aparte sitplekke bespreek.
OK, ons gee nie om nie.
Het u enige spesifieke voorkeure?
Wel, het u enige gangsitplekke?
Ja, ons het 1 gangsitplek aan die linkerkant van die middelste deel. En regs daarvan, 3 sitplekke verder, het ons nog 'n vry sitplek.
Aan die kant. OK. Reserveer asseblief die gangsitplek.
Sekerlik. Wat van die ander een?
Het u enige sitplekke naby die middel?
Die enigste middelsitplekke wat ons beskikbaar het, is van die eerste ry tot die derde ry.
Ek is nie regtig mal daaroor as die akteurs op my spoeg en so aan nie.
Die kamer is relatief klein. Ek dink u kan van die opvoering geniet, selfs van die einde van die ry aan die kant.
Regtig? Dan neem ek die een wat jy oor gepraat het voorheen, aan die linkerkant. Watter 2 sitplekke het sy gereserveer? ‘n Vrou bel op die telefoon om kaartjies te reserveer vir 'n opvoering. Watter 2 sitplekke het sy gereserveer?
Hallo? Dit is Blackfriars Playhouse. Kan ek je help?
Ek wil graag 2 kaartjies reserveer vir King Lear om 5:30 vanaand. Is daar nog enige sitplekke beskikbaar?
Ons het nog 'n paar sitplekke beskikbaar, maar ongelukkig geen langs mekaar nie. As jy nie omgee nie, kan ons 2 aparte sitplekke bespreek.
OK, ons gee nie om nie.
Het u enige spesifieke voorkeure?
Wel, het u enige gangsitplekke?
Ja, ons het 1 gangsitplek aan die linkerkant van die middelste deel. En regs daarvan, 3 sitplekke verder, het ons nog 'n vry sitplek.
Aan die kant. OK. Reserveer asseblief die gangsitplek.
Sekerlik. Wat van die ander een?
Het u enige sitplekke naby die middel?
Die enigste middelsitplekke wat ons beskikbaar het, is van die eerste ry tot die derde ry.
Ek is nie regtig mal daaroor as die akteurs op my spoeg en so aan nie.
Die kamer is relatief klein. Ek dink u kan van die opvoering geniet, selfs van die einde van die ry aan die kant.
Regtig? Dan neem ek die een wat jy oor gepraat het voorheen, aan die linkerkant.
'n Man en 'n vrou praat oor voorbereidings vir 'n presentasie wat hulle môre op kantoor sal gee. Wat wil die vrou seker maak as die gesprek tot 'n einde kom?
OK. Ek dink ons is amper reg vir die presentation môre. Nog net 'n paar dinge. Die vergadering sal presies 9:00 begin. Kan jy asseblief die vergaderingkamer vandag dubbelcheck?
Ja, ek het die vergaderkamer alreeds nagekyk.
OK. Goed so. Het jy seker gemaak dat die projektor reg werk?
Ek was van plan om die projektor môreoggend te toets wanneer ek my laptop het.
Nee. Ons moet dit vandag nakyk. Ons sal nie môre genoeg tyd hê om iets te doen in die oggend as daar 'n probleem is nie. Maak seker dat jy die projektor vanaand toets. Dit is die belangrikste. OK?
Ek sal so maak.
Het jy kopieë van die uitdeelblaaie gemaak?
Mevrou Tanaka is nou besig daarmee.
Kom ons kyk. Wat anders? O ja, het jy die witbord geïnspekteer?
Ja, ek het.
Soms het die penne nie genoeg ink oor nie. Het jy hulle almal getoets?
Nog nie, maar ek sal seker maak ek doen dit later.
Ja. Maak asseblief seker jy doen dit vandag.
Wat wil die vrou seker maak as die gesprek tot 'n einde kom? Een man en 'n vrou praat oor voorbereidings vir 'n presentasie wat hulle môre op kantoor sal gee. Wat wil die vrou seker maak as die gesprek tot 'n einde kom?
OK. Ek dink ons is amper reg vir die presentation môre. Nog net 'n paar dinge. Die vergadering sal presies 9:00 begin. Kan jy asseblief die vergaderingkamer vandag dubbelcheck?
Ja, ek het die vergaderkamer alreeds nagekyk.
OK. Goed so. Het jy seker gemaak dat die projektor reg werk?
Ek was van plan om die projektor môreoggend te toets wanneer ek my laptop het.
Nee. Ons moet dit vandag nakyk. Ons sal nie môre genoeg tyd hê om iets te doen in die oggend as daar 'n probleem is nie. Maak seker dat jy die projektor vanaand toets. Dit is die belangrikste. OK?
Ek sal so maak.
Het jy kopieë van die uitdeelblaaie gemaak?
My juffrou Tanaka is nou besig daarmee.
Kom ons kyk. Wat anders? O ja, het jy die witbord geïnspekteer?
Ja, ek het.
Soms het die penne nie genoeg ink oor nie. Het jy hulle almal getoets?
Nog nie, maar ek sal seker maak ek doen dit later.
Ja. Maak asseblief seker jy doen dit vandag.
Want to speak real Afrikaans from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at afrikaanspod101.com. You are at a bus terminal where you're attempting to buy a ticket from a ticket counter. There are 4 different counters. Which counter should you line up at to go to the south side of the city? Which counter should you line up at to go to the south side of the city? The third counter is the counter for bus tickets that go to the south side of the city.
Ver suid van die stad.
You are at a bus terminal where you've just bought a long-distance ticket. Which row and seat number are you in? Which row and seat number are you in? The ticket says that you're in the 8th row in seat C.
8ste ry, sitplek C.
You are at a bus terminal where you're reading the schedule for long-distance buses. On which days are there no buses running? On which days are there no buses running? There are no buses running on public holidays and the 3rd Sunday of every month.
Publieke vakansiedae, 3de Sondag van elke maand.
You are at a bus stop where you're waiting for the 301 bus. Suddenly, A message appears on the display. What does the message on the display? What does the message on the display? The display reads, "The next train will not stop."
Die 301 bus stop nie hier nie.
When learning a new language, we sometimes have a hard time with things like procrastination, discouragement, or failure. But don't panic. With a good strategy, you'll be able to overcome these difficulties. Are you ready to discover the 4 habits of successful learners? Number 1, optimize your time. When learning a language, it's important to dedicate time to your studies regularly, even if sometimes it's difficult. You're busy with school, work, family, or friends, but you can spread out your learning throughout the day. Study whenever you have small gaps of time in your busy schedule. This can be when you're on the metro, on your lunch break, or while you're exercising. Our podcast learning format fits perfectly into your tight schedule. Number 2, consistency with your chosen method. There are a lot of options when it comes to courses and learning materials. Switching from one method to another can confuse you and disrupt your progress. Focusing on one learning method will make a difference. Our method has been created and optimized by real teachers, so you can stick to it with confidence. Number 3, use your language background. Many languages share some commonalities. You can find words that look or sound similar, or even share the same grammar structure. A little bit of language background will give you an edge while learning. Number 4, study continuously. People are excited when they start learning a new language. The enthusiasm usually lasts until the first roadblock. This can lead to discouragement and procrastination. But don't burn yourself out. Learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint. Don't try to learn it all at once. Break things down into more digestible chunks. Learning step by step might feel slow, but it's an efficient way to learn a language. With patience, motivation, and good resources, you'll master the language. Remember, you can't learn a language overnight, but with motivation and these daily lessons, you'll be on the road to fluency.
Hello, it's me again, Christine. We're here today in the lesson, the top 25 Afrikaans phrases. So they're obviously the ones that you definitely want to know if you want to know Afrikaans. They're super simple, most of them, and easy to learn, the ones that everyone always learns these words in all the different languages. So let's get started.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello. It's pretty straightforward. It's a greeting. It's what you say to everyone. It sounds the same as most languages, so it's an easy one to remember.
Goeiemôre. Goeiemôre. Good morning.
Goeiemôre. Good morning. So this one's a little bit hard because it's got the ch sound, but in the morning we're all feeling ugh anyway, so it's a great time to use this. Practice it next time you wake up in the morning and say hello to whoever you see the first thing in the morning and just say goeiemôre.
Goeiemiddag. Goeiemiddag. Good afternoon.
Goeiemiddag. Good afternoon. So it's very similar to goeiemôre. This time you're changing the second word to middag, adding an extra in there because now by middag time, the day's hard and all you want is some lunch. So you're adding mogs in there and just saying goeiemiddag as if it's angry, but try to say it with a smile and then it's even nicer. Goeiemiddag.
Goeienacht. Goeienacht. Good night.
Goeienacht. Good night. So that's what you say before you go to bed, obviously. And by now, you're thinking of the dreams that you might have tonight or the comfy warm bed that you're going to and a cold winter's day. Not like today, obviously, but it's something that everyone wants to hear. It's nice to say it to the people around you before going to bed, like end your day on a nice, calm note by telling everyone around you, Goeienacht.
Wat is jou naam? Wat is jou naam? What is your name?
Wat is jou naam? What's your name? So this is obviously the one that you want to know when you're going out in a new place, especially in South Africa or anywhere where, you know, there's Afrikaans people and you want to know who they are, know more about them. So it's always an easy icebreaker. Wat is jou naam? Get to know their name. Try to think of a way that you'll remember it by making up little anagrams in your head or whatever. It's what I usually do because I'm very bad at remembering names. But definitely a useful phrase to know.
Ek is Christine. Ek is Christine. I'm Christine.
And then if they ask you that question or if you've just asked that question, the likely response is Ek is naam. I am name. So you'd insert your name. Obviously, you wouldn't say Ek is naam. You would say, I would say, Ek is Christine. I am Christine. So pretty simple response. Wat is jou naam? Ek is, and then say your name. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Aangename kennis. Aangename kennis. Nice to meet you.
Aangename kennis. Aangename kennis. Nice to meet you. So now you've said hello, you've said goeiemorgen, goeiemiddag, goeienacht, whatever time of day it is. You've asked them what their name is, you've told them what your name is, so now you're saying it's nice to meet you. Aangename kennis. It's a simple conversation going on here, so it's very important to know all these little phrases.
Hoe gaan dit met jou? Hoe gaan dit met jou? How are you?
Hoe gaan dit met jou? How are you? So now in the conversation, you're at that part where you've realized that they have a cool name, they seem pretty cool, and you want to know a little bit more about them. So you ask them, hoe gaan dit? And then remember to listen, because people always say this and then don't listen to the response or don't really care about the response. Only ask these things if you care, because it's way nicer that way.
Goed, dankie, en met jou? Goed, dankie, en met jou? I'm fine, thanks. And you?
And then the typical response, or hopefully the response because it's positive, goed, dankie, en met jou? Goed, dankie, en met jou? I'm fine, thanks. And you? So that obviously follows the previous one, answering how you are doing and then asking back to the person because that's only polite. You don't want to be like, yeah, I'm fine, thanks, bye. You want to be polite, ask them how they're doing back if they asked it first. Otherwise, maybe don't say it if you asked it first because then it's just like a continuous cycle that's never ending.
Asseblief. Asseblief. Please.
Asseblief. Please. Very popular in South Africa because we're all very polite people here. But please remember, see, I said it there again. Please remember to be polite when you're asking for something or commenting on something that requires a please. No, it'll be a question. So be polite, remember your manners, and say asseblief if you are looking for something.
Dankie. Dankie. Thank you.
Dankie. Thank you. So there we go again with the politeness. Be very kind and warm when someone tells you something or compliments you or gives you an answer to that asseblief question that you just asked. Say thanks, say dankie. And if you can't remember the word, think of a donkey. That's how I always used to tell people. And then just change the sound a little bit because you can't say donkey, you must say dankie.
Jy is welkom. Jy is welkom. You're welcome.
Jy is welkom. You're welcome. So that's the response. If someone said dankie to you, you're obviously going to say you're welcome. Jy is welkom. Because it wasn't such a schlep for you to tell them what they wanted and you don't mind telling them. So jy is welkom.
Ja, Ja. Yes.
Ja. Yes. Pretty straightforward. Yes. Positive response to something. So, pretty easy.
Nee. Nee. No.
Nee. No. Also pretty straightforward, but try not to use it so much because it's going to be a downer on anyone, unless it's something definitely that needs a no for a response. But ja and nee, pretty easygoing, used quite often, so good ones to remember.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay. It's very simple because it's the same as the English and most other languages, just like I said, hello. Okay means, yeah, sure, okay, we'll do this, or okay, I'll have that for lunch, or okay, you make the plans. It's used every day in so many different ways, so it's easy to remember, okay.
Verskoon my. Verskoon my. Excuse me.
Verskoon my. Excuse me. This is a part of that politeness again. If you are leaving the table or you're walking away from something because you don't really like the conversation going on, you just politely say, verskoon my, asseblief as well if you want to be even more nice, even nicer.
Ek is jammer. Ek is jammer. I'm sorry.
Ek is jammer. I'm sorry. So unfortunately this one means you've done something wrong or you've said something that's not so polite. But just be a human being and say sorry if a sorry is needed. And then remember, ek is jammer.
Hoe laat is dit? Hoe laat is dit? What time is it?
Hoe laat is dit? What's the time? This is funny. The translation isn't exactly what's the time, but that's how we say it here in South Africa. You literally say, how late is it? Because you're always late for something, or you're always thinking it's later than it is. So try to remember it that way. We're always late, so that's why we say, hoe laat is dit? Like, how late is it?
Waar is die badkamer? Waar is die badkamer? Where is the restroom?
Waar is die badkamer? Where is the restroom? This one you'll probably use when you're out at the restaurants or at a random friend's house that you've never been to before and you really need a wee. So you're going to be needing this one. So remember, waar is die badkamer?
Wag 'n bietjie. Wag 'n bietjie. Wait a moment.
Wag 'n bietjie. Wait a moment. You're a little bit busy in a conversation and someone comes and chirps in and all you want to say is just hold on. So if you ever in these situations and you have friends that like to interrupt you, then maybe you should learn wag 'n bietjie. And you could always add asseblief as well if you don't want to sound too rude and like cut offy. You can say wag 'n bietjie, asseblief.
Hoeveel kos dit? Hoeveel kos dit? How much is this?
Hoeveel kos dit? How much is this? Now you're in the shops. So you've been to the restaurants, you've been to friends' house, you've been everywhere, and now you're in the shops and you're seeing this beautiful new thing that you really want to buy, but you know, you're on holiday, so you can't just be splurging money everywhere. So you're going to have to ask this question quite often. Hoeveel kost dit?
Help. Help. Help.
Help. Help. Luckily, this word, because it has so much going on and it's obviously urgent, is usually the same in most languages, so it's pretty straightforward if you know English. Help, it sounds the same in Afrikaans and is used in the same way.
Sien jou later. Sien jou later. See you later.
Sien jou later. See you later. You finish at the restaurant, you're going home, or at the shops or whatever, and you're saying, ciao, I'm going to see you later. Sien jou later. Obviously one to use all the time, comes alongside a goodbye, so remember, sien jou later. And maybe I'll sien jou later in some of the other videos.
Tot ziens. Tot ziens. Goodbye.
Tot ziens. goodbye. Directly translated, tot ziens means until I see you again, which is quite nice because you're always assuming that a goodbye isn't a bad bye and you will reconnect again at some point. So tot ziens means until next time, but it actually means goodbye.
Ek weet nie. Ek weet nie. I don't know.
Ek weet nie. I don't know. It's okay to not know. We don't all know everything, so this is a good one to know. If someone asks you a question or asks you directions and you don't know because you're just a tourist here, remember to say, ek weet nie. I use this all the time and it irritates my friends, but I'm honest at least, so ek weet nie. So we've reached the end of today's lesson of the top 25 phrases in Afrikaans. I hope they're useful for you because they should be. We use them all the time, and I hope they're simple enough for you to remember. And good luck using them. I hope you meet loads of new people when you come to South Africa or speak to South Africans. And let me know in the comments down below if you have, or if they've helped you, or if you're struggling with any of the pronunciations or something like that. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, and keep learning Afrikaans on afrikaanspod101.com.
When learning a new language, everyone should have an ultimate goal to work towards. Whether you want to be able to connect with a relative, easily order food while traveling, or go somewhere new, having an end goal for your learning can be very motivating. A popular but challenging goal is being able to speak like a native speaker. It's difficult to measure exactly when you reach this goal, and it's not something you can pick up using textbooks alone. So how do you work on making your speech more natural? That's what we're going to look at today. Here are 3 tips to help you practice talking like a native speaker. Number 1, focus on vocabulary. If your goal is to speak like a native, you might be really focused on speaking quickly or using as many complex grammar patterns as possible. But in our native languages, we're not always trying to speak as fast as possible, and we use complex grammar patterns when necessary, not to show off. Vocabulary, however, is extremely important to expressing ourselves naturally. Your choice of words can reveal a lot about you and your understanding of the language. Most learners have had the experience of using a phrasebook or a dictionary to find a word they want to use, trying the word in conversation, and getting a look of confusion from the native speaker. In some cases, although your word choice may be grammatically correct, the word may be inappropriate for the situation or totally unnatural. This is especially important in business and other formal situations, where the right level of formality and professionalism is key. Being able to understand nuances in vocabulary words can also help you understand relationships between people just by listening to the conversation. Try to listen to many different types of conversations. Listen to how people talk to their friends, their superiors, and in customer service situations. This will give you a better idea of how to talk to others naturally. In some languages, you can omit words from sentences or use more direct communication styles. It's important to be aware of these things so you can apply them yourself. Colloquialisms and slang are also commonly used in most languages. As this sort of vocabulary is always evolving, it can be difficult to keep up with the latest words. Talk with native speakers and consume media in your target language to make sure you pick up these kinds of expressions. Media is a great resource for your learning. Ultimately, knowing the appropriate vocabulary to use for each situation will really help you sound more knowledgeable. Number 2, perfect your accent. With every language, there are unique pronunciation and intonation challenges. Some languages are tonal languages, and a change in pitch can completely change the meaning of a word. Then there's the fact that most countries have multiple dialects, and so people from one area of the country may sound different from those in another. So what is the best way to listen to a wide range of accents and different pronunciations? Video and audio resources are a great way to do this. YouTube is a perfect place to start because people from all kinds of different backgrounds upload videos to the platform. You can watch educational videos, daily life vlogs, cooking shows, a travel series, whatever interests you. Pay attention to the different ways people speak. Everyone is unique. And then practice speaking like them. This kind of practice can help you sound more natural. One note, please be aware of the type of resources you're using. For example, if you find a video where a speaker uses a rare dialect, it might not be a good idea to use that for your pronunciation practice, unless you have a special reason for studying a specific accent. As a general rule, it's best to try to search for practice resources that use a standard form of the language you're studying. Number 3, copy what you hear. Do you remember how you learned to speak as a child? We rarely learned new words just listening to them, or reading after we learned how. When we were little kids, we imitated the sounds we heard by repeating the sounds out loud. While you're talking to a friend, watching videos, or listening to audio in your target language, you can do this to try and replicate the way they speak. Doing this will help you work on mastering the flow of the language, your accent, intonation, and pronunciation. Of course, you might also pick up some new vocabulary this way. Make sure to repeat new words often. It's a great way to make sure you remember them. Try doing this using a number of different mediums and sources. That way, you'll be exposed to the diversity that the language offers and master the fundamentals of pronunciation. For example, you can watch and imitate several different YouTube videos and audio CDs, but try a few different sources, like different creators or different audio types, to make sure you experience a wide range of communication in your target language. If you're using our language learning program, you can even get your own teacher with Premium Plus. Your teacher can answer questions, give assignments, and even listen to your recordings and give you advice on pronunciation. Completing these kinds of lessons with a native teacher can really boost your confidence in your speaking skills. Becoming able to speak like a native is a popular goal for many people learning a new language. It feels great to be able to communicate smoothly, especially when the people you're talking to expect basic level sentences or broken communication. Try using the tips we've shared in this video to work on improving your speaking skills. Of course, it'll take time and persistence, but the reward will be more natural communication. And for even more tips on speaking, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Want to know how to improve your listening and speaking skills, be able to save conversations, listen to them as many times as you want, and learn hundreds of practical everyday conversations? Well, there is an easy way to do this. In this video, we'll go over how to speak more using the dialogue track. So, what is the dialogue track? The dialogue track is an audio track with just the conversation from the lesson. It's only about 10 to 30 seconds long. Let's say you're looking at a 5-minute lesson about ordering food at a restaurant. First, you hear a conversation. Then our teachers explain every grammar rule and translate every word, so you know what it all means. That's where the dialogue track comes in. It gives you just the conversation. Here's what makes the dialogue track so powerful. First, you can quickly review the conversation without re-listening to the lesson. The dialogue track is just 10 to 30 seconds long, so it won't take you very long to cover both new and old information. This makes it perfect for a quick review of what you've just learned, and it helps keep it fresh in your brain. Second, you'll remember the conversations easier. Listen on repeat, like you would with a song, and the words, phrases, and grammar rules will stick better. And the more you come back to re-listen, the better it will all stick. Third, you'll speak more of your target language. So if you have 10, 20, or 100 dialogue tracks like that, then you have 10, 20, or 100 conversations that you'll know inside out and that you can use in real life. For example, conversations like catching up with friends, ordering at a restaurant, talking about your family, introducing yourself, and much, much more. Fourth, you improve your listening skills and can immerse yourself in the language. So imagine you've finished 20 lessons and you've downloaded 20 dialogue tracks to your phone. That's 20 conversations. You can create a playlist and play those 20 tracks and get used to the language and immerse yourself. To recap what we just learned, here's what you do to make the most of the dialogue tracks. First, after you finish a lesson, download the dialogue track. Save it to your computer or phone so you can listen to it on repeat whenever possible. Just replace 3 to 15 minutes of music listening for some language review. Next, if you've finished 20 lessons, you should have 20 dialogue tracks. Use those to create a playlist of these dialogue tracks so that you can listen to all kinds of conversations. And finally, try shadowing the conversations that you hear. This will become super easy once you've heard the conversation enough times. But if you're still struggling with a word or two, go back to the lesson and check the line-by-line breakdown of the conversation to find the words you need to practice. Boost your speaking skills with the Dialogue track and check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Want to speak your target language with confidence and impress native speakers? When learning to speak a new language, you have lots of things to think about, including grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Because you're thinking of all of these things and trying to speak, it can be difficult to communicate with confidence, especially in the beginning. This is why it's helpful to make confidence-building exercises part of your language learning process. In this video, you'll learn 7 ways to boost your confidence. 1. Read out loud. This might seem pretty basic, but it's a great way to practice speaking. Reading aloud lets you practice speaking without having to think about grammar or things to talk about. Reading out loud lets you focus on your pronunciation and the rhythm of the language. It can help you learn to speak more smoothly and quickly, without even thinking about it. If you're using our lessons, read the dialogue out loud as you listen. You can read along with the dialogue tool, the lesson notes, or the transcript. 2. Read like a child. This might sound strange, but think about children learning to read. They go slow and sound everything out. Maybe it takes 2 or 3 tries before they read a new word smoothly, and a few more tries before they can read it at a natural pace. This example applies to language learning too. If you find a complex sentence in something you're reading, read it slowly at first, then speed up. With practice, you'll be able to say it easily. It might feel a bit silly to speak very slowly, but this kind of practice can help you identify tough sounds you might miss or say incorrectly when reading quickly. 3. Use the dialogue breakdown tool. If you're using our site, this is a great tool to take advantage of. It breaks down lesson conversations into individual lines. You can listen to the audio for each line, learn what each line means, and can reread and review as much as you want. 4. Use the voice recorder to record and compare yourself with native speakers. Just click on the microphone icon next to each line in the dialogue section. You can use this tool to perfect your pronunciation if you like, but this is also something you can use to work on speaking with confidence at native level speed. You'll find this tool in the dialogue section of all of our lessons. 5. Repeat and review old lesson conversations. Reviewing what you've studied in the past is the best way to make sure you maintain what you've learned. Go back to older lessons, download the lesson dialogue tracks, and re-listen to the conversations again and again. Or you can reread the dialogue lines from previous lessons until you've mastered them all. 6. Shadow conversations. Repeat what you hear out loud. This tactic is important, but it can be tricky when you're doing a brand new lesson. If you're reviewing dialogues from lessons you've done though, it's super easy to do. Just listen to the dialogue and repeat what you hear. Shadowing means mimicking the speaker as soon as they speak, following their intonation and rhythms as closely as possible. 7. Send recordings to your Premium Plus teacher. If you want to speak with confidence, there's no better confidence boost than feedback from a native speaker, and you get just that with a Premium Plus teacher. You can record yourself reciting a lesson dialogue or any dialogue of your own, and your teacher will give you specific tips on how to improve. From the tips your teacher gives you, choose at least one and practice, practice, practice. Being able to react quickly and with confidence in a conversation is typically not something you can do on your first try, but if you continue practicing, you'll gradually find yourself speaking with ease. And for even more ways to build your speaking confidence, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! When you start out learning a foreign language, everything is exciting. You pick up new words and basic phrases fairly quickly. The first time you say a greeting or answer the question, "How are you?" you might even get a little thrill. Speaking fluently doesn't feel that far off, and at this point, it really does seem like language learning isn't all that difficult. But after a week or two, things begin to change. After a few weeks of study, you start to hit walls as you're faced with strange grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Everything about learning a new language seemed promising and hopeful before, but now you start to realize how difficult it's going to be. Speaking the language now feels like a long, far-off goal that you may or may not achieve one day. But don't let the innocence of being an absolute beginner or the disillusionment of being an experienced learner discourage you from learning. Speaking a new language may not be as far off as you thought. In this video, we'll look at 3 tips to help you practice your speaking skills, no matter what level you're at. Number 1, practice with native speakers. Practicing with native speakers is by far one of the most effective things you can do to improve your speaking abilities. Think of speaking a foreign language as riding a bike. After a certain point, you can't read or theorize about how to do it. You have to actually do it. If you can practice speaking with native speakers who correct you and give good feedback, then you'll be well on your way to improving your speaking. But where can you find native speakers to practice with? If you live in or near a major city, there's a good chance there are some native speakers there. You might even get lucky and discover an entire community. Do a little research into the demographics of your city, or simply keep your eyes open the next time you go through town. You can also attend a language exchange or cultural event. Meetup is a site for local enthusiast groups, and there are usually some language-speaking clubs or cultural clubs there. If you're unable to find native speakers where you live, then jump online and find them there. There are a lot of free online exchanges that allow you to connect with other language learners from all over the globe via text, audio, or video chat. Look for a speaker who is learning your native language. You can spend an hour or so helping each other in your respective target languages. This is a highly practical and helpful way to learn. It's also a great way to learn more directly about the culture you're studying in a real way. Number 2, devote some time to learning pronunciation. Pronunciation often isn't the first skill people think of working on when learning a foreign language, but that doesn't mean that it isn't important. Truth be told, you don't absolutely need a great accent to speak or understand every language. However, a decent accent can vastly improve your listening and speaking abilities in ways you might not expect. Being able to pronounce words and sounds makes it a lot easier for you to remember and understand new words simply by hearing them. If you can physically make a sound with your mouth, then you can mentally remember it. Once you have a good accent, the new language won't sound as foreign as it once did, and you'll be able to understand rapid speech, as well as pick up the definition of new words based on their conversational context. But how can you improve your accent? If you're serious about developing your accent, then you'll want to dissect the language's sound system into its individual parts. First by letters, then individual words, followed by whole phrases. Start doing some mild research on the phonetics of your target language. You don't have to get too technical here. Just try to get an idea of some of the main differences between it and your native language. Find out where native speakers usually put their tongue while saying certain sounds, or pay attention to the shape of their mouths when they speak. Is it open or closed? These subtle differences are what really help you improve. Once you get the letters down, start listening to native audio and compare your pronunciation to the native speakers. Our language learning program's playback feature is a great way to accomplish this. Take a phrase from a lesson and start by practicing the individual words, playing the audio back at a slower speed and then again at a regular speed. After comparing your speech to the audio, combine the words to make complete phrases, imitating the intonation of the native speakers. This precise method of pronunciation practice is one of the most efficient and effective ways to learn pronunciation. Number 3, imitate, don't just repeat. Anytime you speak, do your best to imitate the native speakers you've heard and practice with. Match the way their intonation rises and falls. Pay attention to their word order. It's even a good idea to match some of their body language. This degree of imitation will probably feel weird at first, but it reinforces fluency in the language and breaks you out of the parrot trap, where you simply learn and speak through rote memorization or repetition. This is a common problem that's often cited with other less effective language learning methods. Speaking a language is like playing music or dancing. You don't want to just know it. You want to live in the moment and feel it as you use it. You don't sit and think of what you're going to say in your native language before you say it. Why would you expect to do the same in a new one? Don't let ruffled expectations make you think that speaking a new language is impossible. Yes, it's difficult, but it probably isn't as difficult as you think it is. With a little determination and some faithful practice, you might be surprised how quick and how far you can progress. Use these tips to better practice the language and see real results in your speaking abilities. And for even more ways to practice your speaking, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye!
Want to speed up your language learning? Take your very first lesson with us. You'll start speaking in minutes and master real conversations. Sign up for your free lifetime account. Just click the link in the description.